Subways, basically trains that are underground most of the time, are also the name of a sandwich company who never dreamed about driving one. Every kid's dream was to be able to ride one at least once in their life, except me, since I never really had any dreams as a kid, and I still don't have any. I know it sounds a bit sad, but some people are just fine with never achieving anything big, like being in control of a subway, or being an astronaut, or working at Nintendo, or all these other big dreams that you may have had as a kid, I never had. But for people who actually had that dream, there's this little game called Subway Simulator, Underground Train Ride Station Automated Driving Games. So you can finally fulfill that dream and come to the conclusion that you should have spent those 12 bucks on better things, like a train ticket or buying a few little things for your model train track. Or maybe order pizza, or some kind of other food, or give it away to your local charity, or just throw it into the air and see where the wind takes it. Because anything is better than buying and playing this. It already starts with the name. I get the first part, Subway Simulator. Simple enough. But then you also add the underground train ride station to it, and yeah, that's what a subway is pretty much. Why do you feel the need to add that part? But why also add ultimate driving games at the end? Nothing's ultimate about this game. I thought maybe it's part of a game series called Ultimate Driving Game, so you got subways, trains, cars and all that as some part of big collection like the Ultimate Driving Games. But no, the dev or maybe even the devs, I refuse to believe that more than one person made this game, also made other classics such as Wash Simulator, Hooligan Simulator or Prison Life Simulator Jail. All of them are basically just free assets from the Unity store mashed together probably, just like this. The game does not support the Pro Controller. I thought something's broken, but I just couldn't press any buttons till I remembered that this already happened with another eShop game I tried out once. Thanks a lot for zero quality control, Nintendo, but it's a problem with any online store nowadays. People can upload whatever they want regardless of how broken it is, because yay, we as the big company also get a free cut from it. I love capitalism. So I grabbed my Joy-Cons and started playing. Quick question though, did anyone else ever use their Joy-Cons as a sex toy? They don't quite work as well as the classic remote back in the day, but still, they kinda do work like that. So, what do you do in a subway simulator? You drive a subway, of course, but first you gotta pick your subway, but oh no, you only get one from the start. Gotta unlock the others somehow. How? I actually have no idea. I'm pretty sure you can't even get the others. Just like how the game is also lying to you with its level select. You can only pick Paris. You can't select anything else, which makes you think, okay, gotta unlock the others, right? But I'm also not sure if that's true. See how every one of these cities has 4 levels, for a total of 16 levels? The eShop actually says there's 100, so that's a total lie. And I played 3 levels of Paris, quit the game, came back and there was no sign of progress. I couldn't pick the second or third stage of it even though I played them. It was still the first stage again. So I'm sure it's another lie and there are no other cities in the game. But even if you could pick any other city it would make zero difference. Nothing about this level looks like Paris anyways, so I'm sure the others would just be the same levels. Look at the background, does this look like Paris to you? Hell no. Do these stations look like subway stations from Paris? Also hell no, even though I haven't seen those. But these are just generic subway stations. There's not even an Eiffel Tower anywhere. That would be the bare minimum for me. Put that tower somewhere, add some mimes with baguettes, do anything that reminds you of that country. If New York, the level here, would actually exist in the game, just make all the people overweight. That would at least show that the dev cared a tiny little bit. But they did not. At every station there's also these ugly pictures with no sense or reason to them and they feel like AI generated, also like NFTs that the dev or devs, but I kinda doubt there was more than one person working on this, bought for a fairly high price and still wanted to put it to some use after its value dropped so much that it's worth less than my toenails that I clipped off yesterday. Here's a little story about toenails. Back in the day my parents told me there's a bug that eats toenails or fingernails, so if you don't clean them up after you clip or cut them off, then you will get an infestation. And I believed in it for way too long. So one day I told a friend about this bug and he asked me if I'm trolling. And I wanted to prove that it exists by googling it, but I just couldn't find a bug like that and finally realized I got trolled by my parents to make sure I always clean up after cutting my fingernails. Sometimes I wake up in a cold sweat and think about this memory and the embarrassment it brought to me. Which reminds me of another story and it has to do with a reoccurring nightmare I had as a kid. But this time it also is relevant to subways. Imagine a subway station that has 2 entries that you can go up to the surface again, but not one of those stations that has only one way up again. Now imagine a telephone in the middle of it, one of those old school ones, and it rings and rings and rings, and now imagine yourself as a 7-year-old kid on the surface hearing the telephone. You got a bit interested in it, right? So you follow the sound of it and go down the stairs to see what's up. Eventually you get down the stairs so far that you can see the other end of the subway station. And at that end, a masked figurine in a coat that literally mirrors your movement. You go forward closer to the telephone and he does the same. And you can't turn back, because it's a nightmare and somehow your brain won't let you get out of it. So you either can do nothing and just stand there while looking at the scary looking thing in the code and hearing the ringing from the phone, or you can be brave and get closer and closer to maybe find out what happens when you get so close to the telephone that you can answer it. Or, maybe you will wake up, but maybe the guy will grab you if you get too close, since he's gonna be right there too. I hate to say it, but this is a total cliffhanger, even for me. I was a pissy baby who always pissed his pants, who never got the courage to ever get too close to the man or the telephone. So I will never know what would have happened. Sorry to disappoint. But every time I woke up I was almost crying, and one day those dreams just kinda stopped. Lucky me. I think those nightmares came from being afraid of subway stations, because they're just this weird place. I'm not quite sure how to put those feelings they give me into the right words, but I'm sure my fellow subway station haters can relate to this. And I don't mean afraid in a way of, oh no, I will get mugged here or whatever, but this feeling of actual thinking these places are haunted. The weird bright lightning, the dark tunnels, everything about them. Sitting in an empty subway is also just not comfy because there's no great sights. Sitting in an empty train car though, that's comfy as heck, even though they're the same thing pretty much. But anyways, enough stories, time for the gameplay. At first I was a bit confused what I am doing wrong, because I stopped at the station, but apparently I didn't stop close enough to the end of the station, so I couldn't open my door, so I just skipped my first stentation? Like, how do you make a typo in a game that has around 50 words in it? My English teacher or German teachers would have flipped out if someone wrote a short story with 50 words and still somehow messed up such easy things. Basically, you only need to do two things: start the engine and drive, and also brake. That's all you do. You don't need to put any fancy button combination that actually make you think, wow, this feels so real. You can't even really call this a simulator. It's an insult to actual simulators like the Microsoft Flight Simulator, an insult to life itself. I thought my existence was already an insult like that, but what does that make this game? So, when you brake in the perfect spot, you gotta press the B button to open the doors and watch people go in, who also like to clip through the ground. But it doesn't matter, the game just gives you a set number of people. Even if you only 2 people went inside, the game will tell you, 20 people just went in. I just stood there for a bit to wait like a good subway there and was like, why is the number not getting bigger? Because it just does not matter. Yay! The mood meter also does nothing. Or maybe it makes the amount of passengers higher, who knows? I just know that I don't care. After finishing up all the stations you had to go through, you get back home and there's nothing waiting for you there. You don't get paid, nothing. You just get to the next level and it's the same thing over and over. Look at the skybox, the ground, everything. It looks worse than Driver 1 on the PlayStation 1. I would be so ashamed if I would do something like this. At least pick cool free assets, not the lowest quality ones. It's just bad in the worst ways. I love entertaining bad games, but this is just bad for all the wrong reasons. I feel bad for that one person who really loves subways and plays all subway games and had to buy this and play it. They probably started crying playing this because it's an insult to the love they develop for subways. The developer should feel bad for making all the 5 subway lovers around the world cry in agony and anguish. This game goes on to sale for like $2, and even that is still too much. Imagine paying the whole $12 that it normally costs. Money you will probably never get back because Nintendo won't give out refunds so easily. I think buying 5 million bitcoins in 2004 and using it to order pizza instead of having the vision to see the future and becoming a billionaire feels less bad than wasting these $12. This could be the kind of reason that makes you just rethink it all and try to fix and get your life back on track. Like a subway that never lets the people down that it carries. With those highly emotional and motivating words, I will now bid you my adieu. I didn't pick French in school, I picked Latin. Because I'm leaving France, because I got better things to do than being a subway driver there, like making bad videos on YouTube. So if you want to support me, making even worse videos, give the video a thumbs up, also subscribe. Yay, have yourself a good one. And next time you drive the subway, remember, have a nice day.